BBs, guns, magazines, gloves, scope, which depends on what type of gun you have, and masks. First, you need to get your gun ready. You have to take the magazine out of the gun, load the BBs, insert the magazine into the gun, cock it, and pull the trigger. Clip it in, which I've already done. Cock it, and pull the trigger. Now that your guns are ready, you'll need the safety equipment. You should always have long sleeves, long pants, shoes, a mask, protects your eyes and face, gloves, which helps you grip the gun better and also protects your hands. If you don't wear the proper safety equipment, you can sometimes run into problems.
Ow!
The guns come with a lot of optional equipment. For example, scope. The scope improves accuracy and also makes your gun look really cool. To mount the scope on, you'll need an Allen wrench, and there's usually blocks that the scope can just bolt to. Take the Allen wrench, you tighten the scope rings, and that helps keep the scope on the gun. We're getting ready to play our game, but you should always play in an isolated area so you don't harm other people. Here's an ideal place to play airsoft. It has good cover, it's very isolated, can't hurt any other people, and it's fun. Many ways to enjoy your airsoft gun. The first way is playing war. So fun to play target practice. This is a lot of fun too. In addition to war and target practice, there are other fun games such as Capture the Flag, Elimination, and Last Man Standing.
Very nice.
Stay with me, I want company. Company. Come here.
Of course not, Daniel.
Oh, I gotta really work. First I gotta practice my balance.
No, Daniel.
Okay, I'm ready for my dance. I didn't ask you to tell me.
I still have the tape.
Good dinner, and I'll see you.
What?
At the tape
Okay,
more
here.
than tape.
It's okay.
Hello. Hi.
We just have to unload it to a VHS tape.
Are you nice to me when I come here?
Oh, you're going to the
Well,
VHS?
I like it here.
Well, not yet, but we have
They're
to.
nice to me here.
So
I'm not good under pressure though, I'll tell you that.
that's okay. Well, you know, there are lots of journalists in your family who are used to putting people under pressure.
Pressure.
Nah, it shouldn't be. So, okay, it's Thanksgiving 2005.
What do I have to do?
Nothing. You just have to talk. Just have to
Okay.
answer my question. Or not. Or be evasive. Whatever seems appropriate. So, I don't think Jenny must know this by heart, but I don't know the story of how you met Van.
I was living in Evanston in a house with 3 other guys, and on the next street there were some women that we knew, some girls, and I was down there and with some other guys, I guess, and Van, I think, had just moved in with these girls, and
How old were you guys?
I was 29, she was probably 25. So we was kind of sitting in the hallway there, and she came in, and I liked the way she looked and everything, and but she assumed that one of the girls living there was named Phyllis Fisher, very nice girl, Jewish. She assumed that I was Phyllis's boyfriend because I looked Jewish.
And God knows those people stick together.
That I've never heard.
Yeah. Well, Phyllis would have been she was terrific. Gosh, I would have been so lucky. Yeah, but
Yeah.
but then I did call Van after that, and that's how it all began.
How long did you guys go out before you got engaged?
We were married within a year. Let's see, it was this would have been like fall. Let's see. I think it's probably like the spring of 1959, and then I remember we dated that year and got married in '60, and yeah, I remember that was the year the White Sox won. I remember.
59, right?
Yeah, '59. Yeah, we went out to the zoo a couple times, and in 1960 we got married, and in 1961 along came Jennifer, and 63 was Jean. I think 69 was Liz.
And which
Yeah, it was
15-year period were you parenting during? Was it
Probably
from...
the first 15.
Okay. Okay, I appreciated your comment before
Yeah.
about everyone
Oh,
has
that was-
15 years in them and that's
Oh
it.
God, yeah. I was just obsessed with Jenny. Chased her around the floor. I'm just really into it. And then about 15 years later, it's just the same intensity wasn't there.
So were all 4 parents alive when you and Van met? And did everyone go to the wedding? And-
No. My dad was gone. My mother went to the wedding. The wedding was in Spartanburg, South Carolina. There were only 7 people. Their Uncle Don was there, my mother, and Van's parents. It was very small.
Mhm.
And it was in the rectory of the Catholic Church because not being a Catholic, you couldn't get married in a church. So yeah, they
Pissed off.
put you in the back row.
Yeah, was there controversy around any of this religious stuff?
Yes. I was supposed to go to this pre-Cana, which is what you're supposed to do when you're marrying a Catholic, and I went to an old priest in Des Plaines, where my mother lived, and it just God, it was a nightmare. but then I had a friend.
Well, wait, I'm not going to let you off that easy. What made it a nightmare?
Oh, I don't
Well,
know.
what they want you to agree to.
Yeah, and it was supposed to go on and on and on. There were several meetings and everything. So I had a friend named Earl Ensign from the South Side who had married a Catholic, he said, I got just the guy for you. And he gave me the name of a priest that he knew, and then the guy let me through without all the pain. So that got me a dispensation to get married. But in the
Now, was Marion married to David back then? When did you first meet
no,
that
she
part
would
of
have
it?
been high school. But
Oh, okay.
she's quite a bit younger.
There's 7 years between.
Yeah.
What was the first time that you were exposed to the Bradley extended clan in South Carolina and all of the Elwood and everything else? That must have been a little bit of a culture shock from coming from the South Side.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, as a matter of fact, just going down to the wedding, I was flying out of Midway to Charlotte, I think, or maybe it was Spartanburg, but the flight it was bad weather. That I was sitting in the airport out there for several hours, and I called down there and said the plane is I'm having trouble getting out of here, and there was a guy who was tending bar at Midway who I had known. He was a basketball player, and I knew him. And we sat at the bar for hours, and then I finally got out of there, and they met me in Charlotte, I think, and got me to Tryon. But so that was.
Elwood did?
No, I mean Van's mother and father. So I got there kind of late, and the wedding was the next day, and so that was kind of hectic.
And was that the first time you met everybody, or no?
No, I'd been down there before. Well, I'd been down there to ask for Van's hand, and I did it the old-fashioned way.
How did that go? Tell me about that.
They had a pier down there, and her dad was down there, and I saw the proper moment, and I said, I'd like to marry your daughter.
Had you pre-cleared this with Van, or was?
Oh yeah. Well, I think I had. I don't know. I think she knew it was coming. And he said, "Good. At least I'll know where she is at night."
What did he say? What did he say?
He said, "Good. I think at least I know where she is at night."
As he
a great
hadn't
guy.
up to that point.
He was a funny guy. He's a great guy. And then but we would go down there every year for holidays or Christmas or something in summers. But and then finally met Elwood and that clan. And that was an experience. But he was a good guy. I liked him.
Any highlight stories of times down there, trips down there, holidays down there?
I can't remember any, but I remember one time, I think Van had gone down there with Muriel, the dog, and I must have driven down there with our station wagon, and then I went down there, I flew down there, I guess. And then I had to come back. She was going to stay down there. So I remember getting in the car with Muriel and coming back. And that time there was no super highway. There was this road along, I think it's called the French Broad River. And I remember driving along there with the music going. It was gorgeous. I said, the sun, I'll never forget that.
So how did Wisconsin get into all of this, and what was the tradition there, and the buckshot connection and all that?
As a kid, I'd always gone to Wisconsin, so Van and I went up to Wisconsin on our own a couple of times. I think
when you were a kid going up there, did you go to the same?
No, but various places. But I think that we first went to Saint Germain. I think we went up there with Ron and Virginia Sparks. I think we went with them, and then I just kind of got into the Saint Germain thing, and didn't get hooked up with buckshot until later.
You were with Poochie before that, or something?
Yeah, we had a lot of different guys and stuff, but then we would always go in to see Pop Dean, and Pop Dean says, "Oh, you gotta go with Buckshot." So he hooked us up with Buckshot, and that was the end of that. But
So
beginning-
was there a period where you were fishing with Pop Dean before you were fishing with
no,
Buckshot?
he was out of action by then. But he had the shop. You know, we always go into that shop and talk, and I guess probably described the experiences with Poochie, who he called the blacktop guy, because he would always drive 100 miles before he'd get to a lake and then throw the bait in and take it out and then he'd go home. Called him a blacktop guy with a checkered shirt and a knife in his belt. You know? That's the way he described that guy.
Buckshot liked it too.
Yeah. Well, he's a real promoter. And yeah. So Pop Dean has hooked us up with Buckshot, so that became the tradition.
And what year did you first start fishing with Buckshot?
That I don't know, but
It was before kids, right? Or
oh
no?
no,
Oh.
because we were taking kids up there before that. Gene would remember some of the previous guys with Poochie and all those guys.
Wasn't there a Lyle somebody?
Yeah, Lyle Dean, yeah, there were a lot of them, but yeah, he
And
was a drunk, I guess, but he
the
got
other
his
guy, the old, when we used to go to Lofty Pines.
Marv Heeler.
Marv Heeler.
Yeah, right.
So did you go to the same place for a long time, and then because I remember
We went to a place called Lofty Pines, and that was great, and they served food there. But then it
Remember
changed.
those little cinnamon,
Yes.
round little cinnamon?
Yeah.
I still remember those.
Oh, yeah, that was great. Yeah,
Wonderful food.
but then they kind of stopped doing that and turned their adjacent property into a trailer situation. So from there, it started going to other places. We went to a place called Muskegon. Went there for quite a while, and then we started going to Sainer. So,
that was a nice setup. That
yeah, it was. That was good. Yeah, that was your era. Yeah.
Yep.
That's
Me.
when all the boys started showing up.
That's where we rep the
Boyfriends.
ambiance.
Yes. Yeah, and we had Liz and Kristen up there when they were in high school, and they cut a swath through that place.
Yes, they did.
Yeah. Yeah, they used to hang around in that Charlemagne room or whatever it was.
And in that bar
And then
in
that
town,
bar in town, yeah. I think they were about 16. But I don't know whether they got served or not.
Take a guess.
Yeah.
It was harder to get served at Pat's Bait Bucket than it was at the bar.
Yeah. That's a big bucket, yeah.
So
But I think, Gene, I don't know whether he's serious, but he's trying to arrange a
Yeah.
Wisconsin get together this summer.
we've talked about it.
Yeah. It could be anywhere, you know. It's
Yeah.
like that golf course place would be good. It would.
Oh, I thought you were joking about
No.
the Arkansas trip that
No, but
Yeah, I
what's
know
the name of
what
that place? Yeah. Okay.
Stag.
yeah, it's got a
The
decent
Stag
restaurant and
Yeah.
decent golf course.
Yeah, it's in the St. Germain area.
Yeah.
Yeah.
White Stag.
I think. Yeah, I think Gene and his buddies stayed there the last time they went.
Yeah,
up there.
they have.
Yeah.
And we've eaten there.
Yeah.
So it was
that would
good.
be fine. Yeah.
So how many years do you think that you went to Wisconsin?
You started when you were a kid, right?
Yeah. So forever. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, because those are the kind of. I don't ever remember any other kind of vacation other than that as a kid or with my parents. It was always a fishing vacation.
So where did you live during the formative years when you were growing up?
South side of Chicago. It's lived there until I got drafted, and then
Where on the south side? Were you in one place, or did you move around? a
Oh,
lot?
in one place. We had a two-flat, and my dad owned a two-flat, so we were on the second floor, and the tenants were on the first floor.
I didn't know that.
Oh yeah, and then
What was the address, or what was?
7137 Lafayette. It's underneath the Dan Ryan right now. The other side of the street was there. I don't know whether I haven't been on Dan Ryan for a long time. You can see the other side of the street, but
It is
when-
no longer a very nice place.
well, it never was. But yeah, so that was torn down then.
What-
And then
what's
they
your-
moved to Des Plaines, and I was in the Army from 1952 to 54, and while I was there, they moved to Des Plaines. So when
Oh, your dad moved to Des Plaines also?
yeah, well, the family did. The neighborhood, I think my parents were probably the last ones out. It was almost completely black. But my dad was he didn't want to be the one to sell the blacks and everything, but he finally moved to Des Plaines.
What'd your dad do for a living?
He was a mechanical engineer, designer, designed machinery, designed a cup machine, which a cone cup machine, which was in a lot of places for a lot of years.
Did your mom work outside the house, or was she
No.
full-time mom?
She was a full-time mom. Yeah, my dad, I know he had a real tough time during the 30s. He was out of work a lot.
Where did he go to school? Did he go to a technical
He did,
school?
yeah. Well, he went to Tilden, like I did. I guess it was called Lake High then, and he may or may not have graduated. And I think he took a night class at what's now IIT, I think. I think he took a night class, but he didn't have a lot of it. My mother never finished high school.
Really?
Yeah. In fact, I'm not sure she even started high school. But yeah, depression years were tough, but I don't know. We never missed a meal, that's for sure. So they always figured it out somehow.
And where were they from, and how did they hook up?
They were Chicago, but they were from like where the Armour Square area on the near South Side, down, adjacent to Bridgeport. Yeah, in those days, that's where they were both from.
Mm-hmm.
And
Did their families know each other? Was one of those sorts of things?
well, I think so. Yeah, in later years. Yeah.
No, but I mean, since they grew up in the same area,
Oh,
even
I don't know
before.
about that, but I think the two families knew each other in later years. Of course, after would get together. Well, yeah, both my mother and my father
Mom, I need
were from families of 7, so big family.
Wow.
Yeah.
Look.
So what was Uncle Don like as a sibling growing up?
I think he-
How
I
far
think he tried
apart?
to give me a wide berth. I don't think he. I think my mother would make him take me places once in a while, but I don't think he wanted to do that. But
Well, there's a big age difference between the two of you.
yeah,
also.
it's 7+ years. I think he's now. I think he's 82, and I'm 74. I'll soon be 75. So it was 8 years, but sometimes it's 7.
Mm-hmm.
His birthday's in April.
And what was he like growing up? What was he like as a teenager?
He was very active. He was on the school newspaper, and yeah.
Was he a social guy back then, or was he always sort of keep to himself?
Well, I remember our family knew the family of at least one of his really best buddies, and we would visit back and forth really with that family. The guy's name was John Bacca, and then he moved to Odessa, Texas, and Don would go down there all the time and visit. And he was in broadcasting. This John Bacca guy. He was an announcer.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So you have any good embarrassing stories, or even heartwarming stories about young Jenny in her formative years?
Well, she said the other day that there was this guy who was peeping in through the front window, fawning over her. What the hell was his name?
Ricky Alcorn.
Yeah, Peeping Tom. Who was
Well, that's
worshipped her.
That qualifies as heartwarming.
Used to steal things and leave the bag of stolen goods on the front porch, ring the doorbell, and run. For me.
But I remember, Ben and I, our first 3 years we were in an apartment in Evanston, and I remember getting down on my knees, chasing Jenny around the floor and everything. I was really into it, boy. And,
Do you remember, Jenny? Or
Well, I
when-
don't remember that, but I remember stories every night and red beans and
yeah.
How,
All the good
Jenny
stuff.
talks about dancing around the living room. What do you remember about that?
Friday nights.
I think, there was maybe there was, remember there some Thanksgiving parties we had there, and I remember Vickers came a few years, and they brought some guy that Tony knew. He's an Australian or something. Remember that guy? And it was pretty festive. The kids dancing around. Yeah, we'd always have music going. In the living room there. So yeah,
Actually, it sounds like your
we'd
story
have-
about you guys dancing around may be more interesting.
I don't think we did. We just watched them. But
How'd you end up out in Arlington Heights? Where you lived? I know you lived in Evanston.
yeah.
And
And then we moved to Des Plaines. The reason was that my mother died, and she had the house. It was a one-story house, and so we moved in there when she died. We hated the move. We liked Evanston better. We moved there and lived there. And then we moved across the street to another house, which is a little bit bigger. And then in 1967, we moved to Arlington Heights. Van found a place. I was scared to death because I saw that place. God, I don't think I could afford it. But the reason it made it easier is because I had half a house. Don had but I had enough for a good down payment, so that I could make the payments pretty easily. Without that, we wouldn't have been able to have the house, that house. So yeah, I had it pretty easy in that sense because inherited enough to make a down payment, and that was the tough part.
Yeah.
Still is.
Still, this is right.
Yeah.
So how'd you get into advertising? How'd you wander down that?
I didn't know what else to do. I was an English major and got out of school and terrified. I was actually grateful to be drafted because I didn't know how the hell I was going to get a job. An English major, what are you going to do? So,
Where'd you go to college again?
DePaul.
Oh, that's right. Okay.
Yeah. Well,
Now I remember. It's all
my,
coming back.
my first 2 years I went to junior college in Chicago, and then my last two I went to DePaul.
Okay.
So that's
Part of the legacy.
Yeah,
Who's the
right.
first?
Yeah, I was the first. So yeah, after I got out of school, I think I got out in June, I guess, and I knew I was going to be drafted, so I got a job downtown at Litton's selling men's goods. Waiting until I got drafted, and I got drafted in September.
Uh-huh.
And I was gone for 2 years. And,
Where were you stationed when you were in the Army?
I was kind of a behind the enemy lines fighter, They dropped me out of a plane with a knife in my teeth, and I would clear out the
Just drop out of the
machine gun
Sopwith
nest.
town, yeah.
Yeah, I was a war hero. I was stationed I fought the battle of Fort Leonard Wood, Missouri.
Really, you never went overseas?
I think it was easy there? God. Actually, it wasn't. I would have been better
I'm
off.
gonna go get my baby.
A lot of guys went to Europe. I would rather have done that, but I was lucky because a lot of guys that I was in basic training with went to Korea, and some of them didn't make it. And but this is an example of how armies even then were not very democratic. I had college, so in my 13th week of basic, I was designated to be a permanent party at Leonard Wood in the medical corps. Now, if I hadn't had college, my ass would have been in Korea. I'm sure, because just about everybody else did. Well, some lucky ones went to Europe, but yeah, that was.
I guess going to Europe in the 50s wasn't as bad as going to Europe in the 40s or the early
It was
40s.
real good duty. Yeah, yeah.
So you came out of the Army, and they were hiring in the advertising industry?
No. But I got a job. First job I had was with Standard Oil Company, and I answered in the paper for sales promotion assistant. And I thought this would be a writing job or something, maybe catalog or something. And I got there, and turns out it was a job preparatory to being an automotive salesman, automotive product salesman. And I was there about 3 months, and they realized that I was not the guy for that, and they fired me. So, then I went to work for the Fair Store. That was a department store downtown, and I was like a proofreader. And
Must be something in the blood, huh?
I was a proofreader. And then I got a job. I wanted a writing job, so I got a job with Echo Products Company, and that was a pots and pans company. And I was writing like catalog stuff there. And I was there 5 months, and I got fired because they had a cutback. I was last in, first out. And
Maybe that's where Liz developed this affinity for guys who get fired all the time.
I had a very checkered career. Yeah, I had stomach trouble all through my 20s, and that's why. Between getting fired and trying to find a woman, it was tough.
Huh.
Then I got a job at the Tribune,
Mm-hmm.
and that was in what they call the copy and art department, and that was a shitty job. But it was a service department for advertisers, and, like retailers and stuff, and you would just prepare their ads to run, and there was a little bit of writing involved, a little more production involved, and I did that until I met Van. I was still working at the Tribune when I met Van, and then if I hadn't met her, I'd probably still be there, but then I realized I had to get a real job. So then I got a job in advertising.
How'd you go about that?
I sent out a resume. It was a laughable resume, but I got a job at this agency called Earl Ludgett and Company, and the guy that hired me was a guy who had worked at the Tribune, and he saw my resume, and he kind of had an affinity to a guy who'd been there, and luckily he hired me, and it was a good agency too.
Who was the guy who hired you?
Hugh Wells,
Ah.
and worked for and with him for years thereafter. Yeah, because he was with Ludgett, and then he and some other guys left the agency to form an agency called Rink Wells. Supposed to be the hot creative agency, and then then they hired me, and I was there, and it was a great place. That was a golden age of advertising.
What kind of stuff were you working on back then?
It was like small, no big time clients, but the type of stuff you'd like to do, and like trying to think, but winning awards. Brunswick pool tables, stuff like that, and
I know there were some mattress ads mixed in there somewhere with Jenny and
oh
Jean.
yeah, that was Colby's. That was a furniture store. But yeah, no big time stuff, but it was a great period because we were doing the kind of stuff that we liked, and it was a period before all the MBAs got into the client side of the business, and you were just dealing with one person who thought agencies knew what they were doing,
Mm-hmm.
That was a long time ago.
That was back in the days of the 15% commission and the
Yes,
17.65 markup.
Yeah. Then there was a recession in the early '73, and so Rink Wells was bought out by N.W. Ayer. So we went over there en masse, but the beauty of it is because of our creative reputation, we were the fair-haired boys, creatively, and the poor people that were there were eventually were forced out. they were on the wrong end of that. We were on the right end of it. So, that was a good period too. And then,
So that was you and Bill Smith and who
yeah,
else?
yeah,
Was Aiken in that
Was
also?
Aiken there?
yeah, yeah,
He goes all the way back to Rink Wells?
yeah,
Aiken?
yeah. But then, let's see. We had there were 5 of us had a chance to go to Y&R, and because we were kind of recruited. Y&R was just opening up an office in Chicago, and they were talking to this headhunter Dale Fells about who were the guys around town who were doing it, and they named us. So we were recruited by them and joined them. And the next 10 years were the worst of my life.
Why
It was
is
totally,
that?
it was totally different. Y&R is a whole different game than
Well, you got the big clients with the big
bigger
budgets,
clients, MBAs, and also the Y&R management style was a little bit different. It was a guy came in from New York to run the office. His name was Peter Giugescu, and then he eventually went back to New York and ran the New York office, and then internationally he was a nice guy, but it was just different. It was just not as loose, and of course the clients were different. And I was never really right for the place because I think when they brought us in, they thought I would be a great presenter and a really full service ad guy, which I never was. So I never did that very well. I never lived up to their expectations, but I managed to hang in there. So.
What
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 was the
are
name of that lady producer?
Enid Katz.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, does she go back to Rink Wells?
Yeah,
Wow.
yeah.
Do you ever keep in touch with her, know what she's doing, or?
Not lately, but yeah, she. When the last time I saw her?
Mom, is she,
Carolyn, please, just reach.
I know she's not there anymore, and she had
look at it.
she was married to a lawyer, prosecutor, Gary Shapiro, really nice guy. I just haven't seen her in a while. No one is at Y&R that I knew. The place is totally cleaned out. I don't know who's there now or what
Do you
they
think
have.
she'd still be working?
No, I know she retired a while back. Yeah.
so what's some of the work that you did in your advertising career that was the most fun to do and that you were proudest of?
Can I hold the camera?
No, camera's just sitting there. It's fine.
But then can I take a tape of you?
Well,
Maybe in a little bit.
I guess, well, when I was at Ayer, that's when won the 3 Clios. 2 of them were for Illinois Bell, which is the predecessor of Ameritech, which is the predecessor of SBC. But when it was Illinois Bell, that was a great client because you only worked for. They hadn't brought in the MBAs yet. They didn't have a whole board of. So we just had to deal with a couple of people, and they're good guys, and we were able to get some stuff through that we liked, and won some awards.
Client didn't ruin it.
No. And, so yeah, that was a good place. It's just the clients at Air and the clients at Rink Wells were the kind you could work with, and you could do the kind of stuff that you wanted to do, you liked. Not all of them, of course. You didn't have to kind of split the good stuff and the bad stuff. I'll take that good one, you take that bad one.
Hey Jenny, do you have any? I'm asking all the questions. It's not even my father. You must have some things that you'd like to hear the answer to.
No, he's doing a good job, Steve.
Yeah.
So, who is Jenny's most troublesome boyfriend, and what were some of the more worrisome moments that she put you through as a parent?
I wasn't the one who really put him through the ringer.
Yeah, it was mostly Liz, yeah. Liz is the one that wound up in Wisconsin, and Van said she's up in Wisconsin. I said, I don't think so. She would never. that was she met this guy up at Sainer, and she went up to visit him in his school, I guess.
Who turned out to be gay.
He turned out to be gay. Yeah, but yeah, well, Van always had Liz figured out, and I was always the guy that said, "Oh, I think so," you know, just I was all wrong about it. I finally got it years later, but so yeah, I was not the best father in that respect. We would fight about it, and I finally got it. But, took a while. Oh, my daughter would never do that. I just had the total faith.
Yeah, I know what it's like to be wrapped around the finger already.
The daughters, and not having any sisters, I didn't know anything about them, and so I just thought women were something to be worshipped. You know, Jesus, certainly found
You're
out.
right about that.
Sort of found out otherwise.
Jeez.
It took a long time. I think it's better to have a sister or something.
I
So
agree
you
with
figure
you.
them out. You can.
We're both at a disadvantage. I have
Yeah.
no idea.
Yeah. Oh, I was just afraid of them. Yeah. Just.
I think also the disadvantage is it takes you a long time to realize that you don't know what the hell you're doing.
Yeah.
You know, if you start off knowing that you're screwed and that you're being manipulated and that it's not what it seems, from having had a sister, you got a fighting chance.
And you don't even realize that they have the same drives that you do. I never knew that. A long time to figure that out. I just figured, well, like a lot of guys in my generation thought that way. There were good girls and there were bad girls, and that's the way it was. And with a good girl, you wouldn't even think of laying a finger on it. Yeah, I think we were all in that generation grew up kind of sexually screwed up. You're not taping this, are you?
No.
Getting into stuff that shouldn't get into.
Well, you know, it's true. That's
It
why
is true. It is true.
information communication is a good thing.
Yeah, I think that was true. Well, a lot of guys are a lot more advanced than I was that I grew up with, but
I hope it's not getting wet.
for me it was true.
So what about Gene as the high school athlete and all that? Was that fun? Did you go to a lot of the games?
Yeah, it was fun. Was in the stands with all the fathers, the Rat Pack, and we would critique the coach. It was a lot of fun. Yeah, I really enjoyed that a lot. We'd all up there critiquing the coach, and it was great. It was great.
Well, he must have had that same pack of guys through, and
They were
it
a
sounds
good
like
team, too.
Yeah, they were a good team. Yeah. The only reason they didn't get downstate was Arlington High beat them.
Yeah, oh God.
Arlington went downstate.
That was
Yeah.
such a...
Yeah. Yeah, that
So did you ever have any sense
do
of?
you remember the sound in that gym that night?
that's I've never seen anything like it. I don't see how Gene could even. I think he was throwing up, but
I'm sure he was.
yeah.
I was. I was
Me
like,
too. I couldn't
oh my
stand
God. And
Yeah.
the sound was deafening.
Yeah, Jesus, the pressure was
That
immense.
was such
yeah.
a game.
Yeah.
That was the highlight of his life, right? After that, it all went down.
Well, you know what? He could relive it for you moment by moment. It
Yeah.
has not left him,
Yeah.
and it never will.
But he's managed to squeak through since then, but
Yeah.
yeah,
Somehow.
yeah, yeah. But I'm sure at the time it was.
Oh.
So did you ever have any sense that the reason Liz turned out the way that she did was that Gene and Jenny were torturing her every time you guys went out? Do you know about her being locked in the basement and, burned with cigarettes and things like that?
Well, that like glass door between the living room and the den was broken once.
That was actually Gene and I.
I recall coming home to that.
Liz,
I never did get the story straight of how it happened.
oh, I can tell you.
Some marauder came in there with an axe or something.
Yeah, it was a roving something.
I remember-
It had nothing to do with your children.
No,
I remember
no.
Mr. Osborne having to come over and help Mom get the door out. Because I think you were out of town.
It was?
Thankfully, yes.
I thought I remember a door like that, or maybe I just know the story. I don't know.
Because I remember Mr. Osborne coming over, and I'm thinking, I am so dead. So dead. Gene actually was the one who kicked it in, but I was I was the cause.
The perpetrator,
Yes, I was.
or the
Yeah,
reason.
I remember a door in Naperville that had the same fate. Someone else may have kicked it in, but you were the cause.
I don't recall that.
No, of course not. So
Well, there were some upstairs bedroom doors that were kicked in by me. Boy, with Van.
Yeah.
So when did you, do you remember when you first met Rita and Tony?
Well, Liz and Julian were the same age, so they kind of grew. So was Van and Rita were just inseparable buddies, and they traveled together, and naturally brought Tony and I into the mix. But yeah, they were just a pair. Yeah. And
Those guys certainly knew how to have a good time, enjoy the finer things in life.
yeah,
And entertain.
yeah, they were the best I've ever. They were better than the catering service. They were like a machine.
Yeah.
I still remember court at Tony's.
Oh, yeah, well, it's Christmas Eve, we would be there, and,
Boy, there was nobody floundering around with them. They would have it. Oh, Tony would pour the wine, and it was just like a machine.
and Rita, who
Yeah.
was an amazing cook.
Right.
It's the first time I ever had ossobuco was over there.
Me too. First time I ever had a lot of things was over there.
Yeah. Guess I don't know when we had them for Thanksgiving, Van and I'd be jumping through our ass, and nothing was organized. And God.
Well, they would had a
Kind
lot
of
of experience.
Yeah.
So, I would love to hear a couple stories about the either the Alaska trip or the Galapagos trip.
Oh, it was great.
And you guys really, you had a streak where you're doing some really cool travel.
Yeah. Like my favorite was still Africa, but
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
Galapagos #2 and Alaska. Those are just fantastic places. Geez. But yeah, the Africa and the Galapagos, that was with through the. Well, Van was the docent at the zoo, and those were trips arranged by the zoo group. So we went with the zoo group to Africa and to the Galapagos.
So give us
there
a
would
give us a
always be
key
guy-
frame, a key frame
As
or
Liz
two.
would say.
Yeah.
I don't know, but I can't think of any key frames. But,
Oh, I can think of one. Mom with the Swahili women.
oh yes. Yeah.
Tell that one, right?
Yeah, we went into this native village, Swahili. Is it Swahili? Yeah.
Are they?
No, it's the language. It's what's the name of the tribe? But we went into the village.
Bantu, maybe?
Oh, damn it. Anyway, but but they always have like something they're trying to sell and everything, and then we went into their huts. But anyway, about it seemed like 500 of these native women had Van backed up against the wall, trying to, and I could see her going like this, and I was back here with the camera. And, oh God, this is priceless. And I nailed a couple of those.
Yeah, those were some.
Yeah.
Did you get the look of fear in her eyes?
Oh, yeah.
Well, so what else? What were a
Oh,
couple of the excursions you took?
Another one of the best shots I ever took with Van and Marion and I were up at Gordon's Lodge in Door County, and we went out on a fishing boat, and with some woman who was the captain, and
Two women wasn't enough for you?
well, it was supposed to be this guy, and then for some reason he canceled out, so we inherited this woman captain, and we went out, and it was a terrible day. It was just it was windy, and the waves were crashing around, and it just didn't look like we were going to get back. And Van and Marion were sitting up there, and I could see what was going on in their heads. I think they were just terrified. And I kind of got down at the bottom and took a shot of them. It was beautiful.
The fear.
The terror, yeah, it was just so
God.
funny. Every once in a while you get lucky like that.
Yeah.
And we did get back, but it was no fun at all. I think we got one lake trout, and we just had to go back. It was really bad.
Scary.
That can be bad up there. Yeah.
So how about Galapagos? Key frames from the Galapagos.
Well, the neat part of it is you can just walk right in amongst all the critters, you know, it's just because they're not afraid of humans, and you know, you can walk among the sea lions and the boobies and all this. It's just incredible. It's so the big turtles, the tortoises, and we're in a small boat. It was a small boat cruise, and you go from island to island, live off the boat because there are no resorts on the island.
Right.
We first. It's off the coast of Ecuador. It's owned by Ecuador. It was. We went to Ecuador, and then to the Galapagos, and back to Ecuador. And Ecuador had this what they call the Otavalos market up in the hills. All the natives had their wares and everything. God, that was fantastic. We brought so much stuff home.
We were the benefactors of a lot of that.
And it was so cheap, and it was so unbelievable. And then when we got back, Van and I were thinking, boy, go there, you buy this stuff so cheap, and we ought to have a place in Sanibel we could sell it.
Oh, I remember
Because we were traveling, we were going down to Sanibel. We were renting from this guy, Bill O'Connor, who was an ad guy, and we even thought about it quite seriously. And I had a couple of breakfasts with Bill O'Connor, and he was interested because he had this place down in Sanibel, and
You were there.
he even looked for a
The storefront?
an office, yeah, and we talked about it, and then I brought him, I showed him some of this stuff, and we were thinking about it, and then it finally occurred to us that, well, somebody got to do the work. Somebody have to be there, you know, and it's not that easy. But I think it's true of a lot of great ideas.
Yeah.
It's all in execution, boy. Everybody has good ideas. You got to know how to do it.
Yeah.
Gee, it would have worked, I think, because everything was all sun-oriented. Sun clock, sun this, sun that. And Sanibel's kind of a sun kind of an island. We thought, oh, this could work. And you could have the whole shop full of sun stuff. And
It was a
You
big
could
idea.
have made a fortune just selling shit to Kelly. She's like the sun girl, right?
And she likes stuff like that.
yeah, we're going to have Liz design the graphics and everything, and she couldn't wait. And got that far, but then it came to a crashing halt.
Who's gonna work this out? Man, I don't want to be in there.
Yeah.
So how about Alaska? What was that trip like? That was another small boat deal, right?
yeah.
Was that also through the zoo?
No, that was through something called Cruise West. Marion was with us on that time too, and we hooked up with Marion, and mostly Marion. She'd be at the back of the boat smoking, and there were these two guys, one black, one white, who we hooked up with, and then when we got back to Ellington Heights, these guys lived in Detroit, and we had them over to stay over at night, and they were gay. The black guy and the white guy were gay, and but no problem. And so they came and stayed one. I think they even visited Marion one time too. They're good guys. They were fun. And
What time of year did you go?
I think summer. But you'd go into those coves. It was where the ice packs were. It was cool, but I think it was pretty good. It was the right time, I think.
Did you do any inland excursions?
Yeah, we went to Denali. That was part of it too.
Took a train up, or
It was a
Or a bus?
It was a bus. Yeah, that was great, boy. You've been there. That's amazing.
Yeah.
You just mouth was open the whole time, just looking at it.
it really is amazing.
It is amazing. Yeah, you could. On the small boat, you could see bears peeing along the shoreline. Yeah, it's terrific.
I mean, there's something to be said for doing it on a big cruise ship because it's like you've got your own city, but you look out and it's like no human being has ever been there in the history of the world. And there's dolphins and whales and eagles and all
Yeah.
that. But the small
I don't
boat,
think you can beat the small boat. I
Yeah.
think you just get in closer to stuff, and the big boats can't get into. That's the sales pitch for the small. I agree with it. I think it's true.
Is it a lot more expensive
I
to do
think-
the small boat than the bigger boat?
I don't know. It might be more, but
Worth it.
yeah, if you're going to go to Alaska on a big boat, you know, with all the gambling, why even be to Alaska? You know, it's just you can do that anywhere. I guess you were on a big boat. And you still saw a lot of stuff, right?
Yeah, I
It
mean,
wasn't-
I would get up early in the morning and
Yeah.
sit on my veranda with a cup of coffee, and you're looking out at the
There it was,
at
yeah.
the fjords and the waterfalls and the
Yeah.
whales in the water.
Yeah, waterfalls. Yeah,
And
incredible.
when you pull into a port, you do tend to overwhelm the port more
Yeah.
than you do with
Yeah.
a small boat.
Yeah, there were just not that many people, and we pulled into ports and stuff. Yeah.
But you know, when you get in a seaplane or you get in a helicopter or you get in a boat, in 2 seconds there's no other human beings around. You know, so and
We didn't do that, but we didn't get in a helicopter.
yeah, that was landing on a glacier, like 20 miles inland, and there's nothing. You know, it's just like a big, massive black and white photograph with 3 different glaciers flowing into a valley. And you just land in a helicopter, and you have to go in 2 helicopters because they can't make radio contact. And if one helicopter goes down, then you're gone
Why
forever.
can't they make radio contact?
They can't over the mountains. Once you go over the fjord
Oh.
into the mountains, you can't make radio contact back with the
So
coast.
they travel in tubes?
Yeah,
Wow.
and they give you the crampons and
Yeah. Anything like that? I remember when in Africa we went up in a balloon, that was something.
Wow.
That was something.
I
Yeah,
bet.
you could see for miles, and you could. I mean, you're in Kenya, you could see Tanzania. It was amazing.
And you could just see all the animals roaming around.
Yeah,
and-
it was something. Yeah.
So what are your recollections of becoming a grandfather for the first time? Do you remember any of the action
I
around
know.
that?
Yeah, I remember the purple feet.
Yeah. I knew that was coming.
Yeah. Yeah, I think Van and I were at a wedding or something.
Yeah.
And from there we went over to the hospital. Jesus, is he okay? Yeah, the purple feet.
That was never explained, those purple feet.
So what question should I ask you that I haven't asked you, right? That will evoke a insightful, witty, and memorable
Just
response.
don't ask me anything embarrassing because I don't know.
So I wanna-
I don't have anything to add to any of this, oh yes. Well, life was hard. Just a lot of hard work.
A lot of
Bush and I,
tromping
we
through.
were alike on that.
How about, do you know when your parents came from Germany over here? Do you know?
No, it's way. It's
Way back.
it was my parents' parents. It was a Civil War period,
Uh-huh.
as far as I know. Yeah.
And did they come straight to Chicago, or were they up in Wisconsin? They were farmers, right?
There were farmers and there were butchers. There were a lot of butchers in the family.
Yeah.
And, is that where they? Let's see. Yeah, I think some came to Chicago and some went other parts. I guess some were up in a small town in Wisconsin. I think. But yeah, both my parents were born in the U.S. too.
Well, I'll turn it off, but I really appreciate you putting up
That's
with
good
us.
stuff.
Yeah. Well, we still got a few minutes to shoot the turkey.
No,
I got.
okay.
You know who I think knows some about that? Remember that report that Jean did?
Oh yeah. Well, Jane Thiem,
She knows?
or Jane Hill. She's the historian. Yeah.
Yeah.
'Cause, yeah, she's George's daughter, and she knows all that stuff. Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. And I should know more, but I think.
Yeah.
Can you hold this for me, please? Don't lick it.
What do you mean?
It's not ready for,
For deliquification?
right.
Show us your technique, Dan.
It's not a lot of whipped cream at all. This is.
Some would say it's not enough.
What is it? What is it?
You guys nuts. See if it tastes right.
Okay.
Let me taste. Use powdered sugar.
Happy Thanksgiving.
Make it a little sweet.
May I please have some chestnuts?
I'm going to make them in a little while, but yes, you're in. You're on the list. Chestnuts.
Can you open up the top oven for me, please?
Yo.
You expect me to film and work?
Oh, you know what? I need you to put the other. Shut the oven, please. Never mind. I don't care about the film. I care about the can.
May I please have something to drink?
Yeah,
Can I have a juice box?
sure.